Last week on the road under the lights, North Dakota State had some stars shine bright, shutting down their opponents to remain unbeaten at 6-0. Now the Herd marches back to their own turf, hosting a top 10 opponent eager to make its mark as a national contender. It's number 1 NDSU and number 7 Illinois State coming up next.
Get your horns out! Tailgating in the parking lot. Now that clock is ticking down. The boys are ready to go. The energy in here's electric. Let's get on with the show. Get your horns up. The green and gold are back in town. Get your horns up. Pumped up and ready to throw down. Toss that coin up in the air. Bring the boys up to the line. Hold your horns up high because it's Bison time.
It's the premier FCS matchup in the nation this week. Number 1 North Dakota State undefeated, hosting number 7 Illinois State coming in at 5-1 here at the Fargo Dome this afternoon. Should be a fun one, and we'll have it coming up for you here in just a couple of moments. On the KVOY, KFYR, Bison Television Network, Brian Shawn and Lee Timmerman with you. Ryan Gellner will join us from the sidelines, and it's two teams that take a lot of pride in defense and also love to run the football, LT, and it should be a matchup of good on good today.
Yeah, you used the term matchup. I'm going to use the term refreshing. I really like the fact that NDSU is going to face an offense that's not trying to trick them. Illinois State flat out believes that they have the offensive line with enough talent and the running backs with enough talent to be able to run it right at you and keep the ball. We obviously know the Bison think the same thing. Refreshing matchup. Yeah,
Illinois State 409 yards 1 week ago. And when you look at the running backs each of these teams have, they each have a really good 1-2 punch. And when you look at James Robinson, Markel Smith, Bruce Anderson, not sure of his situation, but Lance Dunn, Adam Cofield, they're going to be counted on to carry the load today as well.
Yeah, James Robinson is a kid where if you can get him down on first contact, you might be the first time all year if it happens today. And he is a guy that when high school, Robinson had over 9,000 rushing yards in high school, top 15 all time. So obviously he's carried that through. And we know that the Bison stable of running backs, they do a wide variety of things with them. It'll be fun to see how the two teams do that with their backfield.
Both teams also doing a good job of taking care of the football and taking the ball away. When you look at turnover margin, also going to be very, very critical. North Dakota State, 5 turnovers created last week against Western Illinois.
Yeah, plus 10 for NDSU, a plus 9 for ISU. Whoever can do that in a game like today could play a huge factor on who's going to win.
So here we are back at the Fargo Dome. And we are thankful to be indoors today because who remembers last season? In November, regular season finale in Normal, Illinois. It started off as sleet. It ended up as snow. It ended up being an absolute crazy contest in Normal. The Bison came out on top 20-7.
That was a particular game where game plans, you just kind of threw them out the window. The worse the weather got, the more basic it became. And it was one of those lineup, best man win. Of course, Jabril Cox made the big defensive play.
All right, so here we get set to go. North Dakota State will receive. And doing duties today, kicking off for Illinois State is Sam Fennelton, who was the kickoff guy and also the field goal kicker, but has been so much struggle in that part of the game, just 3 of 6 so far this season, that JT Bolkin has actually taken over the punting and kicking duties for field goals.
We saw a quick shot of a man not in uniform on the sideline. That was Bruce Anderson, so there's the answer to that question. Dimitri Williams will use one of his 4 games here again today. He's back in kickoff coverage right now.
We saw Anderson go down in the second half against Western Illinois with a hamstring issue. He did warm up a little bit today, but is in street clothes on the sidelines, as you saw. And we are underway with this Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. Kick off your planting season with Peterson Farm Seed. There's a flag at the 37-yard line as Ty Brooks darts out from his own goal line to the 38, and we'll see what the flag is.
Well, it was Josh Hayes, and I think Adam Cofield double teaming somebody right at about the 35.
During the return, holding, return team number 14. 10 yards from the spot of the foul, first out.
Good eye there, LT. That is Josh Hayes, the sophomore. And that'll back up North Dakota State. Let's take a look at the Bison offensive unit. Starting lineup brought to you by Shields.
Easton Stick, Omaha, Nebraska.
Dylan Radins, Becker, Minnesota.
Colin Connor, Mineral Point, Wisconsin.
Tanner Volson, Belfort, North Dakota.
Luke Bacon, Granville, North Dakota.
Zach Johnson, Blaine, Minnesota.
Ben Ellefson, Hawley, Minnesota.
Brock Robbins, Cavalier, North Dakota.
Bruce Anderson, Tampa, Florida.
Dallas Freeman, St. Michael, Minnesota.
Darius Shepard, Blue Springs, Missouri.
No gain on that first down. Carry for Lance Dunn will bring up 2nd and 10 from the 27-yard line. Courtney Messingham, offensive coordinator for North Dakota State, telling us this week, we got to try to get on these guys early and establish the ground game right away. And the Bison have not been the fastest starters here in league play.
No, certainly not. The game, the way it started right off the bat, 14 points down, I think, in a game we had down at UNI. So, yeah, it hasn't been the quickest.
Stretch play to the outside, trying to wait for things to develop. And again, well covered up by Illinois State as Dunn is able to get a couple of yards up to the 30. That will bring up 3rd and 7. Let's take a look at the Illinois State defense. Starting lineup brought to you by Shields. A couple of new men in the middle with John Ridgway and Jason Luan. That's 2 redshirt freshmen. Romeo McKnight is a transfer, has done a nice job from Iowa. Jason Harris has been there for a while. Really the one guy, LT, that stands out is Zach Matthews, who's a transfer from Robert Morris, really didn't play at all until his senior year. He's a leading tackler.
Yeah, he was a special teamer for the past couple of years and really got his opportunity this year and has flourished.
Stick to throw. Has time. He's going to air it out. Man wide open down the seam. Is caught by Shepard at the 30. Shepard to the 20. Puts on the brakes before Mitchell Breeze finally slows him down at the 15-yard line. And the Bison, an explosive play here to flip the field.
Nodak Insurance Company replay designed to get on the safety. That's exactly what happens. It's a one-on-one. Mitchell Breeze gets caught a few steps behind as that one drops right into the bucket. That's the 46th time that NDSU has had a play this year over 20 yards plus. 6 of them last week at Western. And, of course, in that shootout against UNI, Bison had 9.
1st and 10 from the 15. Stick is going to keep it on the outside, following a block. Stick to the 10, and he's going to be very close to another first down at around the 7-yard line. We'll see where the official marks it. Zach Matthews finally forcing him out of bounds.
I know John Wooden, way back when from UCLA, he had a saying that was play fast, but don't be in a hurry. And I think Easton Stick has done that very, very well. And there's a good opportunity to what I'm talking about. He had to get to the edge. He wanted to get to the edge, but he didn't overrun his blockers. He let them develop, picked up 9 yards.
2nd and short here for the Bison. Stick, quarterback power up the middle, and he's got enough for a first down across the 5 to the 4-yard line. And the Bison will be set up 1st and goal. So Jason Harris get in there along with Matthews on the stop for Illinois State. Let's take a look at the quarterback numbers for Easton Stick, the senior out of Creighton Prep in Omaha, brought to you by the North Dakota Beef Commission. The completion percentage probably not where he'd want it to be, but 40-3 as a starter, a 2,000-yard rusher, 31 career rushing touchdowns, and his 3rd all times in completions, yards, and attempts at NDSU.
2 touchdowns behind the all-time record of Brock Jensen as well. 70 touchdown passes.
Inside handoff done into the end zone. Touchdown.
Well, the Bison wanted to test how physical they thought the front 4 of Illinois State was. And on this replay, watch the right side. Oh, they just collapse. I mean, Zach Johnson blows his man about 4 yards to the left. And when your tackle's getting that much movement, you can easily see why that was a touchdown on that play. Great job by the right side of the line.
Peterson on for the extra point, and Cam boots it through. And North Dakota State, thanks to a 55-yard Easton stick to Darius Shepard pass play, sets up the Bison at the 15, and NDSU punches it in right away.
Well, Brock Spack's defense on first and second down did what they wanted. They forced NDSU into a 3rd and long, and that's when Shepard was able to get the one-on-one against Breeze, get the big 55-yarder that you were talking about. Here's what I'm talking about on the right side on this Nodak Insurance Company replay. I mean, that was easy pickings for number 10, because guys like Zach Johnson on the right side and then Luke Bacon, the right guard, just collapsed, just smashed down so hard physically. Nodak Insurance Company replay. That is a touchdown and a good sign for NDSU to be that close to the end zone and move people that much.
27th career rushing touchdown for Dunn, his 6th of the year. And again, Dunn's success today so critical for North Dakota State without Bruce Anderson. Notice Brack's back. Notice how he used to have a mustache all those years. He doesn't have it right now. He made a bet with Jake Colby before the Southern Illinois game that if Illinois State beat the Salukis by 35 or more, he would shave his mustache. And sure enough, 51-3, Illinois State comes out on top. And right after the game, Speck shaved the stash right in the locker room. So there you go.
But I think you can see after a week, he's got
the stubble
pretty good
coming.
Comeback, yeah.
Another Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. Kick off your planning season with Peterson Farm Seed. Letting that go is Charles Woods. Illinois State will start at its own 25. Let's take a look at the NDSU defense. Starting lineup brought to you by Shields.
Caleb Butler, Blaine, Minnesota. Blake Williams, Romeo, Michigan.
Aaron Steidel, Carlos, Minnesota.
Greg Menard, Lakeville, Minnesota.
Levi Jordan, Dickinson, North Dakota. Dan Marlette, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Jabril Cox, Kansas City, Missouri.
Jalen Allison, Papillion, Nebraska.
Rob Grimsley, Hutchinson, Minnesota. James Hendricks, Bemidji, Minnesota.
Marquise Bridges, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Grimsley, a little bit of a question mark coming in with a hamstring issue last week. Michael Tutsi, his backup, is out due to a hamstring today. Lining up and running it on first down is James Robinson, and it will take multiple tacklers to bring this guy down all day. A big boy as Jordheim and Hendricks combine to make that stop after a gain of 2. Let's take a look at the Redbird offensive unit. Starting lineup also brought to you by Shields. Offensive line really good. Gabe Meganson is a transfer from Illinois. He's had 17 starts for the Illini. Has done a nice job. And Drew Himmelman is a monster. 6'10", 315. Spencer Schnell, the leading receiver for the Redbirds. Already 33 catches so far this season.
The Bison think 53. The right tackle, O'Day, is a very solid too. This is the best offensive line NDSU has seen this year.
Back to the ground game. Again, not much room. We'll bring up 3rd and long for Illinois State. Robinson back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it.
Not much push up front. The Bison defensive line doing a good job against these big guys, and they are big. I mean, 310, 315, 300, 315, 310. That's the 5 starters along the offensive front for Illinois State, and that man is in his first year as a starting quarterback for the Redbirds.
That's Brady Davis. Illinois State 38% on 3rd down, 63rd in the FCS. He will roll out here and get himself some room, and now he might run for it. Davis, ooh, he's hit hard by Jabril Cox at the 31, 5 yards short of a first down.
Bison spread it out and play a zone in the defensive secondary, and there was one instance where I thought the window may be opening up, but the one thing Davis does on the scramble sometimes is he locks in a little bit too much on one guy. Well, the guy that he was looking at to the outside, he was covered. There was a secondary guy that was open in a moment. Now, we caught it a little bit too late, but number 13 was open when the play was off to his left, so his timing of that was a little bit off.
Braxton Haley, the junior wide receiver, was the man LT was referring to, and here comes JT Bolkin, leading punter in the Missouri Valley in terms of average, 44.4 yards per boot. Got a nice roll here down to the 15, now 14-yard line before it finally comes to a stop. And we have our first time out. 9:32 to go in the first quarter. North Dakota State leads 7-0 with the football. Show your Bison pride today with an NDSU Gate City Bank ATM and check card. Visit gatecity.bank/mycard. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life. Member FDIC. Bison set up 1st and 10 on their own 14-yard line, leading 7-0 here in the first quarter from the Fargo Dome. Play action for Stick. Fires across the middle off the hands of Ben Ellefson, a little bit behind his junior tight end. Will bring up 2nd down.
Nodak Insurance Company replay off the play fake. Ellefson, 82. That's who Stick is trying to get it to. Just a half a step too slow on the throw. You had Darius Shepard doing a nice little clear out, combination route, trying to get the tight ends involved.
Well, might have been actually deflected there, LT.
I think it was tipped, yep.
Yeah.
I think that was Matthews, wasn't it?
Stick. Kept it up to the 16-yard line. Will bring up 3rd down. Stop on the play made by Luther Kirk, junior safety.
Let's revisit the last play of the touchdown here. And the guy that we really want to see is Zach Johnson. Look how much he moves his man, and that gets blasted inside to make the Dunn touchdown look relatively easy.
Wow.
That is a pancake block. That is a monster mash. He took Lewin and flattened him. Great job by 68 there. Zach Johnson, the junior.
3 receivers to the high side here for Stick, who's going to go deep again for Shepard, who's open again at the 50. And another explosive play as Shepard is finally pushed out of bounds inside Illinois State territory down to the 37-yard line. And with that reception, Shepard passes Warren Holloway for 6th place all-time in receiving.
Did you see who he's isolated on again? Same guy he beat downfield again. That was the strong safety, Mitchell Breeze, who can't keep up with Shepard. Another out route. Shepard has obviously a speed advantage between those two guys. And, I mean, Colorado State just abused Devin Taylor, one of the cornerbacks, and that may be opening up the inside a hair today.
Stick fires out to Dallas Freeman, who makes his first reception, and Freeman able to slip out of a couple tackles before Breeze finally finishes him off. Good enough for 14 more yards to the 27 and a 1st down for the Bison.
I just mentioned Devin Taylor, number 3, the guy that Colorado State picked on, and then picked on some more. He is the corner out into the field side. He comes up, plays it soft on the run, and Freeman's able to kind of power right past him and needs safety help to clean it up. But the Bison have some opportunities in the passing game against Devin Taylor as well today, I believe.
Play action again for Stick. Fires down the seam, and the receiver was not looking for it, and it's intercepted.
Lance Dunn didn't even look.
And Breeze comes up with the interception and the turnover, desperately needed by the Redbirds.
Watch the head of number 10. No, he did not know the ball was coming. Dunn did not see the ball come early. That is the 10th interception for Illinois State so far this year. All of last year as a team, they only had 9.
Second interception of the season for Breeze, 2nd team All-Valley preseason selection.
Stick gets the ball out where he wants to and in the time in which he wants to get it there. Dunn just didn't know it was coming his way.
Hand off to the outside, Robinson. Tripped up. Picked up about 5 yards to the 19-yard line.
The Redbirds have not shown a lot of fancy stuff in the running game this year. We'll talk about that after this.
Let's take a look at the quarterback numbers for Brady Davis, brought to you by the North Dakota Beef Commission. Just the 1 interception thrown to go with 14 touchdowns. So far, the transfer from Memphis doing a pretty good job. Davis across the middle, incomplete. And a 1st down for Illinois State. The reception made by Andrew Edgar, the redshirt freshman out of Chicago.
This was a good play because they took Snell, the leading receiver, Spencer Snell, number 11, brought him back behind the line of scrimmage, and that pulled everyone up a little bit, and then they snuck the receiver behind. That was a well-designed play, and Davis did a good job hitting the man open.
It looks like Himmelman moved early on the snap count, and that will cost the Redbirds 5.
Well, speaking of 5, number 5, there was some question marks.
False start. Offense number 71. 5-yard penalty. First down.
There was a few question marks on how strong Robbie Grimsley would be able to be today. He is out there, and he is playing in his 51st game for NDSU. There you saw Himmelman pop out of there a little bit early, but he is a big guy. 6'10", 315.
Garrett Hirsch was motioning, I think, from his center position on a line call, and Himmelman thought it was the snap. A little bit quarterback run here for Davis. Bison all over that. James Hendricks comes in to make that stop with Derek Tuska. Gain of a couple.
Well, coaches call it run fits. Basically, it just means be where you're supposed to be at the time you're supposed to be, and Tuska played it very well, not allowing Davis any opportunity to cut it back.
And up until last week, Davis had not really run the ball a lot, but against SIU showed much more of that.
Who didn't run it last week? 409 yards rushing.
Pressure coming on Davis. Spun out of it momentarily and finally goes down. A lot of pressure off the edge made him step up, and a whole host of Bison finished him off.
Well, Robbie Grimsley was one of the men there, but here the Bison to swallow up the offensive line. Tight shot at Davis. You see his eyes get moved right away. That's 45 Jordheim coming from the edge like you talked about, Brian. And on the Nodak Insurance Company replay, Grimsley, one of the many in there on the tackles. But Robbie Grimsley starting for the 46th time already in his Bison career. He wears number 5.
3-down lineman here for NDSU on 3rd and 18. Davis setting up the screen to Petkovic, the tight end, who's a big target, but he is well short of a first down. Gains a pretty good chunk of yardage back up to the 36.
Like what the Bison did, they played a soft defensive end, and that was to watch 25 Robinson. So you're going to take your chances with yards after the catch with the tight end, much more than you will with Robinson. And the Bison able, that was one of those deals where we're willing to bend, but we don't think your tight end is going to pick up 20 yards on us.
One thing Matt Entz talked to us about this week, defensive coordinator for North Dakota State, is the screen game, something we have to be aware of, and Illinois State has hurt some teams with that this season.
And the Bison, quite frankly, have played it poorly.
Bolk in a better effort this time as Shepard has to retreat inside his own 20. Puts a move on one man, and then is tripped up as a flag comes in.
Hayes again. Josh Hayes hitting from behind. Illegal block. That's what I thought I saw anyway.
North Dakota State already 132 yards.
During the kick, personal foul, face mask, return team number 21. Half the distance from the end of the kick, first down.
We'll actually go on Jalen Allison for a face mask.
Meeting, timeout.
4:31 to go here in the first quarter. The Bison with the ball back. 7-0 on the Egg Country Farm Credit Services scoreboard. Buying, building, or refinancing. Start with a Gate City Bank Blue Standard pre-approval and experience a better home loan. Get started today at gatecity.bank for a better way of life. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. So after the penalty, NDSU will start this drive inside its own 10-yard line.
Unbalanced look to the left.
Taylor coming in to make the initial contact. As Dunn still picks up about 5 yards to the 14.
As a general rule of thumb, teams that run with 3 down linemen don't like unbalanced looks because your nose guard is usually typically over the center or shading the center. But when you go unbalanced, you force them to balance the formation, and so he's a little bit out of position over a guard or a tackle. So the Bison are throwing that in there every once in a while too.
Power game again for Dunn, who's got room this time as he squeezes through a hole and ducks under a tackle from John Ridgway and picks up a first down at the 21.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. Actually, this is a play that I really like to see. This is too tight with the power right up the middle, something NDSU has not done a ton this year. But obviously it's very effective, and it has been in the championship runs for NDSU, those A-gap powers. That one was well executed, picking up the first down.
Senior tight end for the Bison, Nate Jensen, saying, we know a lot of teams run and want to run, but we feel confident we can do it better than anybody else. Stick to throw. Time in the pocket's going to air it out. One-on-one coverage for Shepard again, and it is batted away. Well covered, well played that time by Devin Taylor, the sophomore from Lansing, Michigan.
You're going to get a look at one-on-one. Shepard running a deep post. But as soon as Taylor gets his hips turned, and then he's able to retime himself because that ball had a lot of air on it. See how much the point of the ball is coming down? You could tell it was not thrown flat or long in that particular instance. Shepard had to slow up just a hair, and Taylor made the play.
Not as much room this time for Dunn. Up to the 23-yard line. Will bring up 3rd and 8. Ridgway making another tackle.
But like that last pass play, the Bison and Coach Kleiman's team finding something in verticals that they're trying to hit and hit big early on. But in terms of the way that Illinois State has played its defensive backs a lot this year, they've been a little soft, sometimes corner coverage. The Bison coaches thought that some dig routes, some comeback routes, some combinations in the flat might be open today too.
Bison 2 of 2 on 3rd down so far today. Illinois State bringing pressure. Stick trying to run away from it. Flips it out looking for Dunn. Had he been able to catch it, would still be running. Incomplete.
Well timed on the blitz. See the two linebackers come? You can't get them both. And Stick was just able to swing out and get away from DeForest. Then he had no chance but to get that ball out of his hand, and was hoping he could connect with it, but Bison
First
punt.
punt for Garrett Wegner today. Pretty high, deep punt as Spencer Schnell will call for the fair catch and make it at the 29-yard line. 2:18 to go in the first quarter. Bison still lead 7-0 on the A-Country Farm Credit Services scoreboard. Well, that's a commitment.
It certainly is, yes. I like the level of go for it he has.
He's even kind of got the serious, snarly look of a Bison. 1st and 10 Illinois State from the 30. Davis dropping it off, and it is dropped. Markel Smith, the intended target. And wait a minute, they're calling this a backwards pass. No signal yet from the official.
I didn't think so. It didn't look like it at first, maybe. I think they're going to rule this incomplete.
The ruling on the field is a backward pass recovered by North Dakota State University. First down.
This will get reviewed.
Wow. Looked like Caleb Butler was the guy that fell on it for NDSU.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. Let's see exactly where he lets loose of it. No, that's a forward pass. Yeah. That's a forward pass. I know we had a situation last week at Western where it was one of those, is it a lateral, is it not? And there was an interesting ruling in this and last week. This time, that looks like a forward pass.
Replay official is Paul Valina. And they'll take a look at this, and I believe we'll change the possession back to Illinois State.
Coach Spack, in his 10th year as the head coach, second all-time in wins already for the Redbirds. Talk about guys who could play the game who are now coaching. Spack was one of those guys who could play the game. He was a first-team All Big Ten linebacker.
10th season at Illinois State, 73-41 career record, 4 playoff appearances, including a national championship appearance in January of 2015 against NDSU. The Bison, a last-minute comeback in that game to win its 4th straight title in Frisco.
All right, you're at home. What do you think? You get to be in the replay booth. There's the 2 gentlemen.
Ball released about the 27, and it looks there at the 28 is where the ball was touched. And just the way Smith had to reach forward to catch the ball, right? Let's take a look at it here.
Yeah. 28. Right. I still go back to what you just said, Brian. The ball was in front of the receiver. His hands were out in front of him. And I thought it was going forward.
See if any of the angles we provided the replay official gave them sufficient evidence to overturn this call.
Well, remember the keys to the game that Brian were talking about in our pregame show. You know, steal a possession, get a turnover. This could be one of those huge spots early on.
Andy Special is going to tell us.
After further review, the ruling on the field is reversed. The pass was forward and incomplete. It'll be 2nd down at the previous spot. The game clock is correct at 2 minutes and 14 seconds.
So there we go. Redbird offense back out. Bison defense back out.
That fan's reaction, that was kind of fun, but that's what replay's for, the attempt to get it right. And from the first time that you and I looked at it, we thought, nope, that's forward pass.
Someone moved early there for Illinois State, and I think it was Chad Conyu, senior guard out of Franklin, Wisconsin.
False start. Offense number 61. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
The Redbirds have shown this year to pull their guards a ton. And so far, they don't do a lot of fancy things off of it. So when you see those guards, those offensive linemen get out in front, that's where the ball's been going. Unless, again, today they have something in their hip pocket for NDSU. But where 61 and 59 go, if it's a running play, that's where the ball usually goes.
Davis to throw, stepping up, hit by Butler, and dropped. He did pick up a yard on the play up to the 26.
It won't be a sack, but boy, Davis had to pay for this one. Caleb Butler, Nodak Insurance Company replay really gets a good plan on him. Butler's going to come flying in from your left. Quarterback gets turned, and that passing shoulder gets ripped right down into the turf. Another 3rd and long.
Redbirds have been behind the chains a lot here so far in this first half. This 3rd and 14. Davis dropping it off to Schnell. And he is hit by Jalen Wimbush and will be short of a 1st down by about 3 yards to the 37.
Not unusual at all to see number 11 catching passes. And at times this year, Davis has almost had a little tunnel vision toward Schnell. He is the guy that the passing game revolves around, sets in that little soft zone, hoping he could split a tackle and get the extra 3 yards he needed for his team's 1st down, but the Bison did not allow that to happen.
And here's Illinois State after pretty much an entire quarter. 7 rush attempts, 8 yards. Bolkin angles this one towards the sideline, and Shepard eludes a couple of men. There's Shepard into the clear. Shepard has 1 man to beat, and he was tripped up just enough by the punter before being brought down at the 47-yard line. So a great return for the senior out of Missouri, and the Bison. Good field position here to start this possession.
Another explosive +20 play, this time in the punt return game. Shepard makes a really nice move on the punter, then gets caught from behind, but that's how you flip the field right back after a really nice punt. And at this stage of the game, actually, to me, it seems like the Redbirds have to feel fortunate to only be down by 7.
Ty Brooks to the outside, hurdles one would-be tackler before he is dropped by Zeke Vandenberg. And he lost about 2 yards, back to the 45. Zeke Vandenberg.
The experience for this Redbird team is mostly on the offensive side. Vandenberg is another one of those redshirt freshmen. It was an awkward look there from Ty Brooks.
He's coming off a little bit hobbly. And again, NDSU already down Bruce Anderson in the running back department today. That's the end of the first quarter. North Dakota State marches down the field and scores on its opening possession, and so far that's it. 7-0 Bison after 1. Let's take a look at today's fun fact, brought to you by the North Dakota Soybean Council. Farming is largely a family operation. More than 96% of U.S. farms are family-owned and operated. And fun facts brought to you by the North Dakota Soybean Council. North Dakota State statistically dominating this game. 144 yards in the first quarter offensively. Illinois State just 45, but the Bison lead it just 7-0. A big turnover for Illinois State with NDSU driving down on a Mitchell Breeze interception has kind of settled both teams in here a little bit.
The connections that Stick has made through the air have been big ones with the 3 completions and 112 yards. So the Bison have been able to isolate the safety a couple of times and hit it big. But again, you take the flip of what I just said before the break about Illinois State. Have to feel lucky to be down by 7. The Bison must feel like, wow, we've dominated this thing. We should be up by more than 1 score.
2nd and 12. Stick fires across the middle. Shepard open again and carries a couple of Illinois State Redbirds down to the 41-yard line. Pick up a 15, enough for a Bison first down.
On the play, that's another Bison.
I like how Stick was able to stay patient, just a 2-man route on the wide side of the field, and he was just letting the slot guy just wait to feel for the opening. There was a little bit more outside pressure, waited a little extra second. He had the time to do it, popped it in there.
2 fullbacks now in the backfield with Robbins and Malmstrom trying to clear the way for Dunn. And again, it's Vandenberg coming in on the tackle. Gain of about 6, down to the 36. Let's go down to the 3rd member of our broadcast crew. That is Ryan Gellner.
Hi guys, it's a First International Bank and Trust sideline report, and Ty Brooks was looked at by medical staff, shook his head a few times, got up, tested the knee, ran up and down the sidelines, and he, as we speak guys, has just returned to the field. So Ty Brooks, he's back.
All right, thanks so much, Ryan. And again, with North Dakota State's running back situation today, Chris Kleiman would certainly like to keep everybody healthy. Brooks is going to get the carry here, and he is met in the hole by Dexavier Kelly Martin. Gain of a few more will bring up 3rd and about 2. Brock Spack mentioning this week about looking at the film of North Dakota State on 3rd down. He said, well, it only took me 5 minutes because they haven't had very many 3rd downs. They've done a lot of damage on 1st and 2nd down.
Zone blocking and an awesome block there. I think that was 71 Bacon with another pancake. Whenever you can get both shoulders like in a wrestler, when you pin them, the Bison offensive lineman, and had a couple of times this year pinning this week, or today I should say.
Stick gonna keep it up the middle, stays on his feet. Stick finally tackled at the 15-yard line on the play by Zach Matthews, as North Dakota State is back in the red zone where the Bison have been so good this season.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. That's a read. Stick is looking in front of him. He sees, there's guys off to my left, not there. He pulls it, goes in. Randy Hedberg told me he thought quarterback run would be a little bit bigger part of the offensive package today. Stick with another nice run there. Over 2,000 career rushing yards.
4 carries, 31 yards for Stick on the ground today. This time done, tiptoeing through a hole before he is brought down. Another good gain on first down of close to 5 yards.
Good running backs all have something that can't be taught, and that's instinct. Watch the feet here of Dunn. Zips around the guy that Tanner Volson was blocking. He's able to get to his left and then back up to full speed in the matter of like 3 little steps. You don't teach that. You either have it or you don't.
Volson banged up hand last week, got through it. Nice job this time by Illinois State slowing things down. That's, I believe, at the bottom of the pile is Jacob Powell. Well, the backup defensive lineman making the tackle.
You mentioned Tanner Volson, and I asked Coach Hedberg about Volson. He said not an issue. In fact, he wanted to hop right up last week and get in. He said the coach and the training staff had to talk him into staying on the turf because he didn't want to be there. But Randy just goes, hey, he's from North Dakota. Get my hint? Meaning he's tough, he's okay, he'll be ready to play.
3rd and 4 for NDSU. End around to Dallas Freeman, who's got a crease. Touchdown!
When we show you this again, you're going to see Dylan Radens move a man. Nodak Insurance Company replay. 75 is Radens. He picks on the linebacker. See you, redshirt freshman. You're out of here. We're cutting right off the back end of you, in for the score.
Peterson on for the extra point. Boots that through. And he's closing on Missouri Valley points after attempt record with a couple more today. 11:18 to go. In the second quarter, North Dakota State has extended its lead to 14-0 as Dallas Freeman dashes in for the touchdown. Whether you're buying, building, or refinancing, Gate City Bank home loans are locally approved, financed, and serviced. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. A lot of history in the program in North Dakota State. Dallas Freeman, his first rushing touchdown of his career. Former walk-on from St. Michael, Minnesota. Another Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. Kick off your planting season with Peterson Farm Seed. Christian Upoff on this return, averaging 28 yards per return in the kickoff department, which is tops in the Missouri Valley, but the Bison bottle him up as he gets across the 25. Let's take a look at the Bobcats scoring recap. 8 plays, 53 yards in just over 4 minutes as Freeman runs it in after some tremendous perimeter blocking from North Dakota State.
Well, this is where Davis and his offense has to do something to try to bail the Redbirds defense out. Because right now, the Illinois State defense is getting rolled, so it's important for the Redbirds offense to stay on the field a little.
Robinson steps out of a tackle. Bison finally bring him down after a gain of close to 9 yards up to the 37-yard line. Robinson tough to bring down with just one man. Very elusive, good feet, but also tremendous size and power.
He steps through that tackle. I think it was Hendricks who was up there. He was in somewhat decent position, but that's where Robinson really kind of sets himself apart from most running backs, I think. He just doesn't come down with one guy, and the first contact, he almost never goes down.
Jackson Hankey in a middle linebacker for North Dakota State on this possession. Davis is going to keep it, and he is upended right at the line of scrimmage and did not get it. Hendricks making the tackle will bring up 3rd and 1.
Well, you can obviously tell that the Bison safeties, as they often do, come and play down into the run game. Hendricks actually starts almost in a linebacker position, trips Davis up. Hankey, you just mentioned him. He was in on that play, and the Bison force another 3rd down opportunity. The first quarter seemed like they were all 3rd and long. At least this one for Illinois State is 3rd and short.
Now Dan Marlette back in a middle linebacker, 3rd and 1. Greg Menard jumped off sides. He's motioning that somebody from Illinois State moved. We'll see what the officials say.
Petkovic is the guy who had to pick himself up off the turf.
Offsides, defense number 96 with contact. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
So the infraction goes on Menard, and that will move the sticks for Illinois State.
Nordak Insurance Company replay. Watch the left side.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Himmelman moved. 71 Himmelman did move a little bit. It was not called. It was called on Menard. No replay for stuff like that.
Davis in trouble again, this time unloading and firing high. Back across the far side of the field for Robinson. James Hendricks right there in coverage. Will bring up 2nd and 10.
Robinson has a long touchdown reception this year, and it came on a play not exactly like this, but similar to it, as Davis looks back off to his right, trying to isolate, and he does have the isolation, but could not hit. He was a one-on-one on the backside. That's a tough place for a defensive player to be, one-on-one with Robinson if he catches it.
Quick drop, Schnell in the flat, makes the reception at the 50 in Bison territory to the 42-yard line before Josh Hayes pushes him out of bounds. First down, Illinois State.
Josh Hayes on the tackle.
Talked about a safety rolling down and coming down low, and Hendricks did that once again, so Wimbush is in a single high. This is an isolation. When you have a single high safety and from a corner position, you can't gamble as much. You have to play it a little bit softer because your help is farther away, and Illinois State recognized that and took advantage of it.
Hanging in there and delivering on target is Davis to Petkovic, and he's got about 6 more yards to the 36.
When you watch Davis, he has a tendency to fidget in the pocket. We'll watch his eyes, and if we can catch his feet. No, we won't see his feet, but we'll get a good look here at what Davis is looking at. And then his feet. What a pitter-patter, pitter-patter, pitter-patter. He looks back off to his left and sees Petkovic, the big tight end.
Power game again, and Robinson pushing the pile ahead. He's going to be very close to a first down where they're marking him right now. He's about maybe a half-yard short. It's very close. Robinson sneaking through a hole, breaking out of a tackle, and finally dropped by Wimbush. After Robinson picks up a first down to the 23. Saw a real burst in the hole that time by James Robinson.
Just a little bit of a seam. Hendricks normally playing a free safety, but with the 2 strong safeties basically out on this game. Grimsley's not in there right now. Hendricks is playing more of a strong position. And again, Robinson runs right through it. More shift and trade coming from Illinois State than they've shown this year.
Robinson again. This time wrapped up by Jordheim. But 4 more now inside the 20 down to the 19.
There was our player of the game last week, Levi Jordheim, Dickinson, Nodak Insurance Company replay. Watch the guard. There's 59 leading the way. He's the man. These guards will take you to where the ball goes. The Bison know that as well, but it's one of those things that's easier to see sometimes than it is to stop.
Markel Smith and a tailback. Davis across the middle. Fires low, and did he catch it? I think so. Nice reception that time by Braxton Haley. First and goal for the Redbirds.
Take another look at this from our end zone position. This will be a good look to see if he gets his hands underneath it, and I think he had it the whole way. Yeah, the ball was caught. Pretty solid catch. Got it down to the 5. No juggle.
Robinson back in. And now they may take another look at it here as the official comes in to blow things dead.
review.
I think our replays look pretty solid that he caught this, but the booth wants to take another look at it. Davis does have a strong arm, though. He was able to wind up and get into that ball. It just never looked to me that the ball got to the turf.
Jalen Allison, pretty good coverage that time on Haley. Again, a junior college transfer out of Dodge City Community College. Had his first touchdown reception last week against Southern Illinois.
As we get a good look at the quarterback, Davis there, he started his career at Memphis. And then in 2016, he hurt his left knee and basically missed that year. Played one game last year before transferring out. But I mean, he was highly recruited, highly regarded out of the state of Mississippi, the 6A player of the year his senior year in high school.
After further review, we're looking at catch Sands. First down, Illinois State.
Put it in there, and good job getting his hands underneath it was Haley.
There's a nice job by the truck to enhance that. I never saw the... He has that right hand kind of cradled that ball. That was a good catch. Had it all the way, and Illinois State knocking on the door.
Kurt Beathard, by the way, is back as offensive coordinator for Illinois State. He is the son of Bobby Beathard, longtime GM of the Chargers. As Brock's back made some coaching changes, trying to improve the offensive performance from a year ago. First and goal at the 5. Robinson stopped.
Redbirds,
not much of a gain, maybe a half yard.
They threw a little different twist after Aaron Steidel in on that play, and Steidel had a little bit of a question mark as well. But the twist was Garrett Hirsch, the center, pulling on that particular play. So far, they have not seen that. But Steidel, 63, is dealing with a quad. Good to see him out there. He was a little questionable in warm-ups, but looked pretty good when he was moving around in warm-ups.
By the way, this is only the 9th time an opponent has been inside the red zone for North Dakota State defensively this season. Play action. Davis across the middle, and it is tipped and batted away. A lot of green jerseys in the middle that time. Intended target was Tanner Taula,
Blake Williams,
freshman out of Independence, Missouri.
Blake Williams, I think the senior, 69, gets it. He's right in the middle. Check him out. Jumping up, getting the right mid on it. And actually, I thought Grimsley had the receiver closed out fairly well. So where Davis was throwing that looked to be like a closed window.
The Bison have only allowed 4 red zone touchdowns this season. 3rd and goal. Davis play action. Running out of trouble. Tuska giving chase. Davis to the end zone, intercepted. It's picked off by Robbie Grimsley. And a critical mistake, and now a flag comes out late in the play back at the 30-yard line. But I think the play will stand.
Yeah, it'll be post-possession, and it's going to be a personal foul roughing on Blake Williams, who went after the quarterback. But the Bison will keep the ball. No, watch this at the end.
After the interception, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 69, North Dakota State. That penalty being enforced half the distance from the goal. First down. That is number 69's first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty of the game.
Exceptional look at it on the Nodak Insurance Company replay, but it was the right call. So we'll watch Davis. Whoa, he gets a big look at Tuska, rolls back around, gets his feet in there, and then makes a poor decision in throwing it. Almost triple coverage. Grimsley with the relatively easy pick. And in the tail end of that play, we saw earlier how Williams picked up the personal foul.
Well, we talked about turnover margin. Both teams have not turned it over much. That's just the 2nd interception this season thrown by Brady Davis. So now the Bison will be backed up. A couple of yards on that pickup for Dunn.
2nd one thrown, but he has put the ball in harm's way more than a few times this year. A couple of picks that should have been caught were dropped earlier this year, but you're right, that's only the 2nd one on Davis. That's really big, though, keeping points off the board there for NDSU.
Stick across the middle. Ben Ellison wide open down the middle. And he makes the reception and finally banged down by Mitchell Breeze, but a first down for NDSU up to the 29-yard line.
Breeze is playing safety and he's playing back, and there's nothing between him and Ellison. And Ellison wasn't, he didn't really disguise much there. You knew he was going to go out on a pass. He just makes an outside release. The safety's setting up 15 yards deep, and you have a 10-yard cushion to get that pass in there. That's a relatively easy pitch and catch there by Stick.
Stick fires low, but Shepard makes the reception and gets what he can out of bounds at about the 33. As Breeze on another tackle. Number 9's been busy so far here this afternoon for Illinois State.
Just an outside release from Shepard. Kane with the block. He gets a little bit on Taylor. Play not designed to go big, but designed to do what it did. Pick up 5-6 yards.
Brooks, boy, met right in the hole and is just ripped to the ground that time. Nice play by DeMarco Washington, and a flag comes in late.
I'm guessing Tanner Volson got caught here.
There is no foul for offensive holding on the play.
And he didn't get caught. It came your way, Tanner, but yeah, they pulled the flag back. I think NDSU's play calling so far in this first half has been unpredictable if you're trying to defend it. Pretty good mix that Illinois State has seen. And here's a different look, a 3-by-1.
Pressure coming for Illinois State. Stick hanging in there. And will fire on the run, and the reception is made by Freeman up near midfield at the 49-yard line. Taylor on the coverage, and the Bison move the chains.
Lance Dunn gets the attaboy. We'll watch the receivers work. Freeman they're putting two receivers in that zone, trying to stress that side of it, but Lance Dunn picked up one of the blitzes. And if he didn't do that, Stick would not have been able to get that ball off. So a super job in pass protection, pass pickup there by a guy who's known for running the ball.
Stick to throw. Across the middle, another wide open receiver is Shepard, and this time Stick a little bit off the mark behind him. Will bring up 2nd and 10.
Well, we do know that Shepard and Stick haven't been off the same page much this year, and especially in this game too. They hit a couple of big ones, but I don't know if Stick read that play to be just outside the hash mark, and Shepard ran it more toward the hash, or on the hash.
Shepard 4 receptions, 117 yards already. 152 career receptions for the senior out of Blue Springs. Boy, again, wide open man in the middle, Nate Jensen. Pushing about 4 Redbirds ahead to the 36-yard line. And so far, the middle has been open a lot, LT, for the Bison.
And that's a pass designed to pick on the linebackers. Nodak Insurance Company replay. You see the deep, deep drop there by DeForest. You take advantage of how deep he goes by throwing in front of him. And then also, you know, DeMarco Washington was a little wide of that play. The Bison thought they could get some things in the pass game against the linebackers, and you just saw why.
Ty Brooks didn't like what he saw inside, so he'll go outside and get down to the 32, and another flag comes out late. Tuvon Clark was the one guy who made the stop, also in there to help on that play. Looked like Vandenberg.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 50 of the defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That goes on Ty DeForest, the transfer from Wisconsin.
That is number 50's first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty of the game.
So that ball moves the ball all the way inside the 20-yard line.
That's why that play is such a killer for the defense on the part of the field. You give NDSU an extra free 15 yards. Tail end of it, 50. Oh, you saw the right legs come flying up there from DeForest. He had his back on the ground, and the feet came up, and the flag came in.
Stick to throw. Ty Brooks doing a nice job in pass protection. Now stick to the end zone, and it is batted away at the last moment. Christian Watson, the intended target. And Luther King, I believe, was in on that coverage from his safety position.
Boy, for the Bison to have this much time to throw, and there's the great one, number 28, Ty Brooks. You see him on the high side. He came over and picked up the blitzing corner. So that's how the running backs have to have their eyes always looking. His job was to see if he could find someone coming. The corner came. He picked it up, and it allowed Watson an opportunity to try to get downfield.
To Shepard. That little screen again, working off a block in front from Dallas Freeman. Gets down to the 13. Willie Edwards helping push him out of bounds. Now a Redbird is down at the 10. I think that is Edwards.
Yeah, Willie Edwards playing that boundary corner, so this play was to the boundary, to the short side of the field.
We'll step aside here as they attend to Edwards. 1:44 until halftime. Bison already leading 14-0, knocking on the door here. Show your Bison pride today with an NDSU Gate City Bank ATM and check card. Visit gatecity.bank/mycard. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life. Member FDIC.
Cofield in where Anderson usually is.
And Easton Stick going to keep it up the middle. Stick is down at the half-yard line. It will be first and goal for NDSU.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. You can see the Redbirds, how much they've scouted this particular Delta formation, and the Bison often go to the outside. And here we have Stick putting his head, shoulders down, exposing himself inside the 5, and coming about a half a yard short.
Luther Kirk made the initial contact.
But the Redbirds overran that play so much it was a relatively easy read for Stick to keep it.
Done up the middle, pushes his way across his second touchdown of the day.
Power football, this straight ahead zone blocking, and another great block again by Zach Johnson, number 68.
Dunn just had to get through the safety breeze. He was able to do that as Peterson comes on for the extra point. And he knocks that through, and it's 21-0 with a 1 minute and 11 seconds to go until halftime. We step aside one more time as the Bison add to the lead. And Dunn has the second of the day, bowling his way in from 1 yard out. Well, North Dakota State's in control here at home. 21-0 the Bison lead. 12 plays, 95 yards on that drive that started after the Grimsley interception in the red zone as Dunn punches it in for a yard out.
The Bison wanted to figure out how physical they thought the Illinois State defensive line is. We know that answer already. They meaning the Redbirds, cannot hold up.
Another Peterson Farm Seed kickoff your planning season with Peterson Farm Seed. Redbirds will give it a shot. Not much. Bison special teams coverage, very, very good again. Adam Cofield on that tackle.
Let's go back to the touchdown and take a look at a couple of things here. Zach Johnson, who had a great block earlier on the touchdown, he takes McKnight, blows him out. And we're also going to see number 34, fly in there and do the same. Let's roll it now. 34 is Brock Robbins. McKnight, see ya. Linebacker Robbins, see ya. When you can get ahead of steam on number 10 and you only got 1 yard to go, that's a touchdown every time.
There's a look at Brock Robbins.
The Bison running backs are doing a great job of blocking today.
We'll see how aggressive Illinois State gets here as Robinson tiptoes through a hole, and here goes James Robinson down the sideline, finally pushed out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Biggest play of the day for Illinois State.
So one of the beauties of Robinson is that you don't need a pass necessarily to make a big play because the Redbirds can get it done with him on the ground.
Bobcat scoring a recap. Talked about the 12 plays, 95 yards and 423. Boy, Darius Shepard having a big first half. 5 receptions, 122 yards. This time Robinson not as much room to maneuver. Blake Williams making that tackle after a pickup of 3.
Taking a lot of time to get set up again.
Davis flushed again, dropping it off, and it was tipped by Robinson. I think the intended target was Petkovic, as Davis had got rid of it.
Yeah, that was a pass that appeared headed toward the tight end. Robinson didn't see Petkovic behind him. He sticks his left hand out, and here's some of that Bison pressure from the outside. Menard getting past the big man, forcing Davis to climb up into the pocket and get rid of the ball.
Illinois State 1 of 5 on 3rd down. Delayed handoff to Robinson, and he is wrapped up. Tusco was the one that got him low, and then he was finished off about 3 or 4 yards short of a first down.
On the tackle. Really fun to watch plays like this from a guy like Tusca because how quick you make the read and the adjustment. Tusca's a defensive end, so he's thinking, I'm going to get to the outside, I'm going to get to the quarterback. Well, as soon as he sees run, he blasts off back into the middle, gets in there to make the tackle as this thing heads to halftime.
Thought maybe Brock Spack would call a timeout and take a shot there then the first half. Decides to let the clock run out. The Bison will lead at 21-0 going into the locker room. Spack's work certainly has his work cut out for him. And Ryan Geller is standing by with NDSU head coach Chris Kleiman.
Coach, your offensive line has been playing really, really well once again.
Yeah, we're doing a nice job all 3 phases of the game. We got to quit hurting ourselves with some penalties, but I like our effort. I like our energy. It's going to be another 4-quarter game for us.
Defensively, you got to be happy you've held them down rushing.
Yeah, they're a really good team, and the kids made us miss a few times. We got to continue to shore up tackling. It's a hard guy to bring down.
Good luck second half, guys.
All right, thank you so much, Ryan. Stay tuned. The Proceed halftime report. Coming up next, we send it back to the studio with Beth Hool and Alex Egan. And LT and I will be back for 3rd quarter action in about 20 minutes from now. The Bison rolling here at home, leading 21-0 at the half. Back here at the Fargo Dome, getting set for the second half of play between North Dakota State and Illinois State. The Bison lead at 21-0. Brock Spack's crew has some work to do, and our Ryan Geller had a chance to catch up with Coach Spack.
Brock, offensively, you just weren't able to get much going.
Yeah, we had a chance to score and turned it over, and it's not like us. And got to settle our quarterback down a little bit. He's a little bit too big of a hurry. We're just not. We got to get our run game going. We can't panic. We got to work our way back in the game, and you got to be more physical than they are. And their experience up front on offense is taking over a little bit of our young defensive front. So we have to settle down and play our game. So we'll see.
Do you try to do anything different offensively? You're still going to stick with the run?
No, we got things we can do. We're not doing anything real well right now offensively. So we got to protect the passer. We're not doing a great job of that. So we got to try to establish our physicality some way, somehow, and try to get points on the board. Our quarterback's got to slow down.
Coach, really appreciate it. Thank you. Guys, back upstairs to you.
All right, thanks so much, Ryan. And, LT, I think Coach Spack kind of summed it up similar, to what we kind of thought is the quarterback just seems like he is in a little bit of panic when he's back in the pocket right now.
That's just a little bit too much of a hurry, and it cost him that interception. Bison offense has played very, very well, averaging almost 8 yards per play in the first half.
We'll see what North Dakota State can do defensively to continue to try to keep this momentum offensively. You'd have to say the Bison have really done just about whatever they wanted. Again, didn't run for a huge total in that first half, but almost 300 yards of total offense overall.
I really like the mix that Coach Messingham is using in his play calling. It has not been predictable at all. That puts a lot more stress on that Redbird defense, and hitting some of those deep pass plays early certainly helps open everything else up the run. And I'm going to go back to something that's the overlooked part too. I think the NDSU running backs, especially in pass protection, have been blocking exceptionally well today. We know Brock Robbins can do it, but I'm talking about Ty Brooks, Lance Dunn. They're helping keep their quarterback clean.
And Lance Dunn has carried the load on the ground, 11 carries, just 34 yards, but does have 2 touchdowns. Easton Stick also 43 yards rushing in that first half. Line drive kickoff. Kick off your planning season with Peterson Farm Seed. And this return brought out to about the 31-yard line by Charles Woods, a freshman from Dallas, Texas. A look at Jackson Brown. Been a really solid special teams player for NDSU on coverage units in particular.
Jackson also is the backup at 2 different linebacker positions as well. So he's a busy guy in practice, making sure that he has all those roles figured out if he needs to go in on the defensive side.
Illinois State 140 total yards in that first half. 67 of those coming on the ground, most of them by James Robinson, all but 2 of them. Davis hangs in there and fires low. Looking for Braxton Haley, incomplete.
That was real interesting that both that Haley and Schnell get to the same place at the same time in only a 2-receiver pattern.
Let's take a look at the first half numbers for Brady Davis, brought to you by the North Dakota Beef Commission. 6 of 11 with the 1 real costly interception in the red zone on 3rd and goal from the 4. Robbie Grimsley with the pick. The 2nd of the season, thrown by the junior. Davis hanging in there. Pretty tight coverage that time by Robbie Grimsley. Schnell, the intended target, will bring up 3rd and long. This is where some of those defensive linemen like Greg Menard love to get after the quarterback.
Menard 4th all-time in sacks for NDSU.
Gonna hand it off to James Robinson, and Robinson dragged down on the play by Jabril Cox after a gain of 3, and Illinois State will have to punt.
Cox and Robinson both having a few words, but that handoff there, and we talked about it in the first half, just because it's 3rd and long doesn't mean it's not a running situation. But there on your first possession of the second half, to me that looked like a little lack of confidence in your ability to try to pass the ball and get the passing game going for Coach Spack's team.
3 and out right away here for the Redbirds. Nice high deep punt again by Bolkin. Shepard an opportunity to return it. Has 1 long one already and stays on his feet here to the near side. Shepard down the sideline to the 30 and finally pushed out of bounds at the 15-yard line by Robert Gillum.
One of the real fun things about being able to watch a game from where we do on this Nodak Insurance Company replay, you can see it right about here that this is opening up, that if he stays on his feet and gets to the near side, this is going to be a big one. And it certainly was. Another big play by Shepard. He's got a couple of them in the punt return game, and he already has one including a 55-yarder in receiving. Been a big play guy this year for NDSU.
He's having a huge day. 2 long punt returns, 5 receptions. You have to think he's the leading candidate for our Nodak Insurance Company player of the game at this point. 1st and 10 from the 17. Stick's going to keep it again up the middle. Found a lot of room up the middle in the first half off that read option look. Willie Edwards on the tackle for Illinois State. Gain of 7.
he drags Edwards a little bit here, so you fake to Brooks. And it's not really a fake. They call it a read option. Stick is looking at the defense, and the defense is going to decide whether the running back gets the ball or he keeps it. It's not really a predetermined thing. Stick is going to play it on the fly. He looks at either the line or the linebackers, and they decide who gets it.
Now Stick changing the play, was going to operate out of the shotgun, now runs a play up the middle, and it's the right call as Lance Dunn plows ahead to about the 1-yard line. Excellent blocking up front for North Dakota State once again.
He changed it to the bread and butter, a little power action. You see 71, that's Luke Bacon coming in that little inside pull, a play that NDSU has really almost made famous in terms of the runs into the championships. And after going a 3 and out on defense, a big punt return, and the Bison are knocking on the door for their 4th touchdown of the day.
Back to the power game again. Dunn into the end zone. Another touchdown, his 3rd of the day.
One thing I think that would be disheartening from an Illinois State perspective is that when it comes time to, put it all out on the line at the goal line, the Bison have dominated you, absolutely dominated you. Colin Connor with the little pull, and where the touchdown is scored is right where Connor went. That's not where the play is designed. Dunn's just looking. He sees it open up, squirts off to his left. He's in.
Not even touched until he was 2 yards into the end zone as Peterson adds another extra point. And North Dakota State quickly extends the lead here early in the second half to 28-0 as Dunn has plenty of room to roll here this afternoon. Buying, building, or refinancing? Start with a Gate City Bank Blue Standard pre-approval and experience a better home loan. Get started today at gatecity.bank for a better way of life. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Lance Dunn, 3 rushing touchdowns today. The senior from Waterloo now has 29 in his career at North Dakota State. Another Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. Kick off your planning season with Peterson Farm Seed. Touchback as Uphoff will take a knee. And Illinois State now down 4 scores. We'll start at the 25, but there's a flag way back at the 35-yard line. Maybe someone offsides perhaps for North Dakota State on the kickoff. Or maybe someone just lost a flag.
Offside, kicking team number 14. That 5-yard penalty will be added to the touchback spot. First down.
So Josh Hayes offside, so instead of starting at the 25, Illinois State will be 1st and 10 from the 30. Redbirds coming in, averaging 39 points per game, 12th most in the FCS. So far today, not much. 0 on the scoreboard and just a handful of first downs. Markel Smith, boy, running through a Robbie Grimsley tackle and also James Hendricks before Jabril Cox finally finishes him off at about the 39-yard line. Pickup of 9 for Smith, who's a very talented backup, 230-pound junior. Bobcat scoring recap. 3 plays, 17 yards after the long punt return from Darius Shepard. Has done. Had plenty of room on that left side to score his 3rd of the day.
Good representation of what Markel Smith brings to the game. A very physical finish as well.
Smith to the outside this time. Grimsley first there. And then finished off by Aaron Steidel. That does move the chains up to the 42.
I know we talked about the high school prowess of James Robinson earlier in the game, but how about a 541-yard game, a Missouri high school state record for number 21 when he was in high school.
And a career high 143 yards against SIU last week, Markel Smith. Finds a little bit of room off that right side. Tuska and Caleb Butler got in there. Marlette also in on that stop after a gain of 2.
There's a play that gains 2 yards, but for Illinois State throughout the course of this year, that's been a type of a play that has really gotten a bunch on the ground. I mean, it's just simple. You pull both guards, you get them out in front of you, you have your tight ends on that side, you just throw people at the point of attack and let your running back try to run through or run around someone. The Bison did not allow a cutback lane and only a 2-yard gain.
Smith keeps the feet moving.
Flag on the high side.
Marlette again was the first on the contact, and we'll see what the flag is.
I thought Chad Conyu had a couple of nice blocks. I don't know if one of those may have been a hold.
Illegal formation, 5 men in the backfield, offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
So instead of 3rd and 2, it'll be 2nd and about 13. Illinois State has found itself in this position too many times so far here today, and that's a big reason why the 3rd down conversion percentage so low. Just 1 of 7 on 3rd down so far for Illinois State today.
Yeah, whereas in the first half, NDSU was 6 of 7.
Smith bouncing it to the outside, and he's going to get the edge on Grimsley, and Grimsley does make the tackle at about the 48. Gain of 8 on the play will bring up 3rd and 4.
It's tough to win a battle against a strong guy with a full head of steam up top. So watch where Grimsley ends up coming down to make this play. Shuffles to the outside, goes straight down to the knee, get around that knee and ankle, and pull the big man down.
Smith comes out, Robinson back in. Here on 3rd and 4. Davis gonna throw it deep for Edgar, right on target. And a big completion for Illinois State down to the North Dakota State 20-yard line. Jalen Allison on the coverage, pushed him out of bounds, but the redshirt freshman makes the reception on 3rd down to move the chains.
Allison gave up a little bit too much space to the inside early in this pass pattern and then couldn't catch up. Davis sets up. He's got a one-on-one on the outside. He also has some space for his receiver on the outside. There you see Allison not being able to catch up. Catch is made. Redbirds get the first.
Bison bring a couple extra rushers. And that thrown into single coverage, and Edgar wanted that more to the outside. Jalen Allison able to get in there and break it up.
Edgar, the redshirt freshman, you could see him, and Brian picked up on that, where he's looking back at his quarterback after the ball hits the turf, and he takes his left arm and points to the outside. You need to get that ball out there where my hands can be more free, away from where the inside coverage was.
And Edgar had a huge game against Colorado State. 5 receptions, 111 yards in that victory for Illinois State on the road. Robinson, not much. Dan Marlette got in there, takes him down, no gain.
You talked about Colorado State, and when you look at that particular game, one of the things the Redbirds did so well on the offensive line is they blew guys off. Watch Dan Marlette scraping over. Nodak Insurance Company replay, gets on the hip. But my point about that is that today NDSU's defensive line is certainly not doing that. They are not allowing themselves to get turned and blown off gaps.
Pressure coming again, and it's Spencer Wagee. Had his first career sack last week against Western Illinois, and he takes down Brady Davis for another one here to bring up 4th down.
I know Wagee was one of the guys I thought should have been in for player of the game last week. He was all over the place. This time he's on the wide side of the field, busts it down. He has some help with a pretty good blitz package here as Coach Ince is dialing it up. A one-on-one, you see Wagee beating his man to the inside, forcing the 4th.
Field goal attempt is booted. It is wide right, and it is no good on that attempt from Bolkin. So Illinois State still scoreless with 8:28 to go in the 3rd quarter. North Dakota State leading 28-0 on the Ag Country Farm Credit Services scoreboard. Easton Stick, good first half, 9 of 15 for 188 yards. There's Brooks to the outside, putting on the brakes before the pursuit. Catches up with him. Still a good pickup on first down up to about the 27-yard line. And there is Stick. Let's take a look at his numbers, brought to you by the North Dakota Beef Commission. 9 of 15, the one interception, not really his fault. Receiver not looking for the pass down the field.
You got to add the 6 carries for 50 yards on top of that too, and you see the type of multiple game that Stick is having. And I would hope that he is kind of written out of the running game at this point of the contest.
He will throw it. Firing out for Dallas Freeman, who almost made a spectacular catch on the sideline, but just a little bit out of the reach for the senior. We'll bring up third and about 5.
You can't give it a better effort than what Freeman did just there. He laid out, got a couple hands on the ball, but a little too far out there to bring it back in before he hit the turf.
Freeman, the one rushing touchdown today for North Dakota State. 5 receivers in the formation, including Ben Ellison, the tight end. And now Lance Dunn into the backfield.
For safety's sake, I would assume.
Stick across the middle. Oh, big hit in the middle there. But pass hung on to, and the catch made for a first down. North Dakota State moves the chains. Nate Jensen on that reception.
This is where NDSU thought that they could find some space between the 2 linebackers. You see Matthews go back into his drop. He shuffles to his left. The pass comes to the linebacker's right. Stick moving around, sees Jensen. Really, that's a pretty good lick too, so he did a good job to hold on to that one on the Nodak Insurance Company replay.
Yeah, Zach Matthews, the senior, putting a big hit on his Stick. Quick drop, throws it out to Freeman. He is pushed out of bounds at around the 39-yard line. Edwards on the coverage for Illinois State.
Have a boundary corner and a field corner. Basically, boundary again is the short side of the field. Field means the wide side, and you'll always see number 20 on your high side. That's right there. Here's the boundary. Here's the hash mark, and it's slow and it's close. And then you see number 3 Taylor to the field side. That's the way the Redbirds operate their defense.
Back to the power game. And Dunn still on his feet there as he was kind of hiding behind his line before Edwards made the tackle. 3rd and 2 coming up here for North Dakota State. Let's go down to Ryan Gellner.
Hey guys, it's the First International Bank and Trust sideline report. Time to revisit the keys to the football game. Number 1 was stop the run. The Bison have done a nice job there, allowing just 91 rushing yards as we near the end of the 3rd quarter here. Number 2 was steal one. Of course, the Bison did get a turnover. Robbie Grimsley saved a touchdown, gave the Bison the football back. And number 3 was throw it and catch it. The Bison have done that, hit a couple big ones down the field, not only to the wide receiver, but to Ben Ellison as well. Guys?
All right, thank you so much, Ryan. 3rd down, NDSU going to run the ball. Boy, it's going to be very close. And boy, the ball's still loose,
live.
or is it?
It's live. No, it's whistled dead. I did not hear a whistle initially, so I thought they were calling this thing live. It will be close to where Nodak Insurance Company replay, the hand to the Dunn. The play before this, Luke Bacon ended up with the ball. Oh, yeah, he was ripped out of there by DeForest, I think, well after he hit the turf.
And Chris Kleiman on 4th and 1 will send out the punting unit here. No reason to risk anything, leading by 4 touchdowns. Garrett Wegner has not been used a lot today.
He had 1, I think.
Yeah, just a second punt upcoming here. Schnell back deep for the Redbirds. Redbirds send a little bit of pressure after the punt. They'll take an NDSU hop inside the 10. Boy, Wegner has done such a good job at this season. My goodness, about as good as it gets. It comes to a stop on its own at the 1-yard line. Special teams has been good in punt coverage for the Bison. We'll take another timeout. Illinois State backed up to its own 1-yard line when we come back. Whether you're buying, building, or refinancing, Gate City Bank home loans are locally approved, financed, and serviced. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Garrett Wegner. Boy, what a surprise, pleasant surprise maybe this guy has been in his first year as a full-time punter. Backed up Illinois State to its own 1. Davis from his own end zone, firing on the run to Schnell, who comes back and makes the reception, and now Schnell off to the races. And a big pass play for Illinois State, a gain of 42.
Schnell, watch this on the isolation. Schnell being very physical here, throwing himself into Bridges, creating some space. Bridges slips a little bit, and at this point, he's thinking if I can get past Wimbush, I might have a chance to break it all the way, but then Bridges comes down and runs him down from behind.
Back to the ground game for Robinson, runs right into Robbie Grimsley after a gain of 1.
I was watching Jordheim on that play at 45, and what you really see is how disciplined that he is. Grimsley makes the play, but Jordheim doesn't overrun it when the flow goes off to his left. He stays there in position to help.
Robinson again. And again, not much. A yard, and that's probably it as Grimsley comes in to make another tackle from his safety spot.
Now that's back-to-back really good plays by your safety. He can't give up the outside. He's got to be the outside man, outside leverage. Don't let the running back get out to the close to the out-of-bounds side. Grimsley stays his position, holds it. Robinson has to come back in and only gains a couple. Well played right there by a guy who's had a lot of good plays, the senior.
Robinson again on 3rd down, finds a crease, and there goes Robinson. Finally tracked down from behind by Jabril Cox, and then finished off on the play by Jalen Allison. But another big run for number 25, who is now close to 100 yards rushing on the day.
Grimsley's going to get in here and just barely trip him. That slows down Robinson's cadence enough to let Cox get in front of him and then have some help.
Davis to throw in the flat, dangerous passes. Marquise Bridges read it beautifully, but it falls incomplete. Spencer Schnell, the intended target for the Redbirds. Let's go down to Ryan Gellner.
Line report. Indiana State leads Southern Illinois 24-7. Western Illinois is up on Missouri State 24-14, and South Dakota has just started. They lead 3-0 early in the first quarter over Northern Iowa. Guys, that's a First International Bank and Trust sideline report.
All right, thank you so much, Ryan. Illinois State will host South Dakota State next week in Normal. Boy, nice throw by Davis. And Edgar able to keep a foot in bounds to make the catch at the 21 to move the sticks for Illinois State.
Some of these out balls we've seen from the pocket, Davis be a little inaccurate. Here, he does it. Left foot in. Nice job on the receiving end of that.
Really excited about the potential of Edgar. Talking to some of the folks in Illinois State this week. Believes he will eventually take over the spot currently held by Spencer Schnell as a slot guy. Robinson again. Boy, he is shifty and tough to bring down. Stepped out of at least 3 different tackles that time, and he's got 10 more yards and enough for a first down. And somebody down for NDSU.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. You see Marlette overruns it just a hair, allowing Robinson to get outside initially. And just a little bit of a shift in his hips when he runs and still able to keep that momentum going forward. That's why he's been so tough all year to try and bring down.
Robinson again inside the 10. Touchdown, Illinois State.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. Quick snap. Robinson cuts it back in. You see Marlette getting moved there just a little bit by Hirsch, the center. And I think that's probably the key block that makes the play spring. Middle linebacker slides further outside than he wants.
Bolkin boots through the extra point, and Illinois State finally on the board with 1:38 to go in the third quarter. Robinson now 116 rushing yards and the touchdown.
Well, ISU certainly has not had a lot to get to be happy about in the way this game was played, but there was the type of drive done by the offense that on tape leading up to this game this week, we saw that a lot.
Especially last week.
Oh, yeah.
Against Southern Illinois. It was a run-at-will type of game. And really the only game that Illinois State offensively had trouble running the football was the loss at Missouri State. Just 128 rushing yards in that game. But against everyone else, it's been the James Robinson show. Boy, impressive drive for Illinois State, backed up to its own 1-yard line after the Garrett Wegner punt in just 8 plays and 3 minutes. The Redbirds go 99 yards, of course 42 of those on the big passing play to Spencer Schnell. Another Peterson Farm Seed kickoff. Kick off your planning season with Peterson Farm Seed. Sam Fenelton kicks this one out of bounds. A flag will come out, and North Dakota State will be set up with pretty good field position here to start. Again, Fenelton was the field goal kicker to start.
Free kick out of bounds. Kicking team. Ball be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
But made just 3 of 6 of his field goal attempts. Missed both attempts from 40 plus, so went to Bolkin. He's done a pretty good job filling in both spots so far today.
If that last drive does anything with 1 full quarter still to go, it's a reminder for the Bison that you cannot take your foot off the gas. You are still playing a team that is ranked 7th in the country. You cannot mess around here. I know you had a 4-touchdown lead, but you still need to go out and be productive.
Stick's going to keep it. Throw it off to Brock Robbins, who was immediately met by Mitchell Breeze after a gain of a couple.
Breeze does a solid job. He was over on Jensen, guarding Jensen in the flat. And then as soon as that play comes underneath, Nodak Insurance Company replay, you're going to see Breeze. He goes with 85, drops off of that, comes up, and before Robbins can really try to get much momentum heading up and getting his shoulders squared, the safety was on him.
3rd reception of the season for Robbins, and 2nd and 8. Back to the ground game for Dunn. Finds a small crease to run behind before he is taken down after a pickup of about 4 more. We'll bring up 33. Zach Matthews in there, Jason Harris in there. Not heard a lot from the defensive tackles so far today.
No, they're the two starters in those, and especially the defensive end. But Ridgway is a kid they really like. Who was that? Oh, it looks like a cramp.
Yeah, it looks like Dunn is getting stretched out by Jim Kramer, strength and conditioning coach.
Should say I do see Cordell Volson in on the offensive line as well.
Brooks in motion. Stick going to keep it. Trying to make a play and through a hole for a first down and a lot more inside Illinois State territory. Willie Edwards wrapping him up down at the 38.
Nodak Insurance Company replay. Stick looking forward, seeing how that if he gets past the linebacker, and he does, he beats DeForest on the play and able to pick up the first down. This will be real good. Nice hesitation as we end the quarter. Stick picks up the first.
That'll take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. North Dakota State leading 28-7, 15 minutes to go in the football game. It'll be Bison 1st and 10 from the Illinois State 38 after this timeout. Back for the 4th quarter, and now time for the North Dakota Soybean Council Fun Fact. Happy, healthy cows produce more high-quality milk, and animal well-being is a farmer's top priority. Daily farmers take excellent care of their cows. That fun fact brought to you by the North Dakota Soybean Council. Little chilly outside, perfect in the dome. 28-7 North Dakota State.
How can you tell that the cows are happy?
Because they're producing more milk.
And they're laughing at your jokes.
Well, see, you and I just discussing how really close the numbers still actually are. Total yardage, not that different. Time of possession, pretty close. But it's just been the little plays here and there that North Dakota State has made.
Yeah. And up in your upper left, the big number that is not close. Bison still with a 3-touchdown lead.
James Robinson, 18 carries, 116 yards and a touchdown for Illinois State.
You're right, though. They shouldn't be that close. They don't seem like it, but they are.
Boy, Ty Brooks hit right away in the backfield by Willie Edwards after a loss of a yard. That guy's been busy today, Willie Edwards.
Well, that play is designed to go to his side of the field, too, and he read run right away. We talked earlier about the boundary in the field, but he's the boundary corner. So when it's coming at you on the ground, you've got to get there as fast as you can.
Stick to throw, not running out of time, and room to run. He's going to keep running until he tried to fire on the run and missed fire. Incomplete to Dallas Freeman. Will bring up 3rd and 10.
Yeah, he had Freeman open, but he'll want that one back. Kodak Insurance Company replay. Sticks flush from the pocket. A good inside. Gets past Volson. That thing didn't have a very tight spiral on it. Kind of dives low left.
Here's a look at the offensive numbers in terms of yards for each team. Illinois State, of course, 99 of those coming on its last drive. Stick fires a little bit low again. Freeman was open at the 30.
Yeah, if that's a catchable ball, if that's up around the chest and Freeman can catch it with some momentum going back inside and when he's trying to turn, then you got a chance to pick up the extra 4 or 5 yards after the catch, but his quarterback didn't give him an opportunity to do that.
So Garrett Wegner will come on and again try to pin the Redbirds deep. So a lot of time to go here, 14-11.
See if he can get it closer than his last one.
Boy, be tough. End over end punt this time for Wegner. Dimitri Williams gives chase, but just a little bit too much on it. And the Redbirds will start from their own 20-yard line. We'll step aside. 14:04 to go in the 4th quarter from Fargo. Now look at Jeremy Gordon, a former defensive end at North Dakota State. Actually played his final season with a torn ACL. Did get himself a ring for a national championship back in 2011. Redbirds 1st and 10 from the 20. Markel Smith following some blocks, stacked up. Pick up a 5. Greg Menard in there with Jabril Cox. Robbie Grimsley also in on that stop for NDSU. Drew Himmelman, number 71. You see him there on the bottom of your screen. He is just a giant of a man. Had a basketball scholarship to Northern Illinois. Wanted to play football, but 6'10", 315. Little counter action this time. That didn't work. Back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it for Smith.
Little pushing and shoving afterwards, but I liked how Greg Menard played that because it was Konyu, I think, the guard who came out, pulled on him, trying to clear out Menard, the defensive end, and Menard just kind of hunkered down and kept that play inside.
Play action for Davis. Stepping up, trying to get into it and misfiring as he was under heavy pressure that time. Gillum looked like he was the intended target, the tight end. Blake Williams put the hit on.
Safety blitz as well as Robbie Grimsley came from his safety. So when you're going to bring a safety on a blitz, you know you've got man coverage just about everywhere else. Bison playing press on the side where the ball was released to. And the versatility of Jabril Cox just continues to show. He's comfortable anywhere, and you can put him in pass coverage, and he does very, very well at that.
Bolkin back for another punt. High deep spiral. Robbie Grimsley calls for the fair catch at his own 29 and makes it. We'll step aside. 28-7 North Dakota State with the football. 12:35 to go. Show your Bison pride today with an NDSU Gate City Bank ATM and a check card. Visit gatecity.bank/mycard. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life. Member FDIC. 1st and 10 NDSU from the 29. Ty Brooks looking for room, not finding any. Good pursuit that time by Illinois State, making the tackle. Tuvon Clark from his outside linebacker position.
Yeah, that was played very well in terms of trying to string it out. Just keep it going sideways before the Bison have an opportunity to turn it up. It was well done by the Redbirds.
Brooks again stacked up. Gain of just a couple up to the 30-yard line, coming in to make that tackle. Zach Matthews along with Willie Edwards.
Two cracks on the ground only gain you 1 yard, so the Bison, with the clock moving and 11 and a half to go, would love to pick up the first down and stay on the field here a little bit, but so far the Redbirds making that difficult.
Will throw, has to step up, running out of time, and down he goes, back at the 25-yard line. Matt Swain got in there, along with number 52, Ryan Gull.
Kodak Insurance Company replay. Little swim move to the inside. Helps get some pressure. That was something Western did. They sacked the Bison and Stick 4 times last week, which doubled the NDSU sack total heading into this game. I think that's the 9th time this year the Bison have been sacked.
Wegner to boot another one away. Angling one towards the sideline, a little bit short. Schnell coming up to make the fair catch at the 41. 10:29 to go. We're back in a moment. Roxback's team has not given up here this afternoon. Down 21-0 at the half, and then down 28-0 early in the 3rd quarter. Redbirds a 99-yard drive and a short field here, setting up at their own 41-yard line. Robinson. Boy, this guy is dangerous. All he needs is a little bit of space. Good burst through the hole, gain of 9. Blake Williams making the tackle.
Grimsley's coming up trying to get a hit on him, and then watch how Robinson slides right by. That's what I like. Here comes Grimsley, and his step back into his left, gets his hips kind of through, back upfield. He's over 100, isn't he?
Yeah, 128, I believe now. That's enough for a first down. There's Robinson. bolts into NDSU territory before Jalen Allison makes the tackle at the 47.
Canyu, the guard, 61, makes a pull on that. He's able to take the edge away because Jabril Cox was coming up to try to close that. But Canyu covers him up, all 6'6", 315 of him, and gets his running back that first down yardage.
Play action this time for Davis. Going downfield into double coverage and almost completing that pass to Braxton Haley. Grimsley was back there along with Marquise Bridges.
If Davis is able to uncork this a little bit quicker, then Bridges isn't going to be a part of it because he can't get back fast enough in the space that Grimsley comes down and closes a little bit.
See the arm strength, though. Why they like
Brady
arm. Davis. And, you know, talking to people at Illinois State, now Jake Colby played a lot of football, a senior captain, but just can't do the things that Brady Davis can do physically. To the outside, no, back inside is Robinson, Jordheim.
Played very, very well by Jordheim. Turn him back to the inside. There was a flag that came flying in there.
Number 61, offense. 15 yards to the previous spot. Second down.
Oh, there you see it. It came on the right side. When you're engaged with somebody up top, you cannot go below the waist.
It's Canyu and O'Day, I think, were the two offensive linemen they're trying to work. So now Illinois State back inside its own territory at the 38. Second and long here, second and 25 as we approach the 9-minute mark here in Fargo. Davis on the move. Fires back across the field and completes it to Schnell. And Schnell down to the 40. Picks up 22 yards. Usually a cardinal sin not to throw back across the field, but it worked that time for Davis.
Here's where a little arm strength helps too. Sets up, fires, she's Schnell. He's just sitting in a zone. The Bison are playing in a zone. Schnell finds the weak spot away from the bricks. It's a tough, where he caught that was a tough position on the field to try and guard.
Davis again on the bootleg. Gonna take off and run with it, and he has enough for a first down. Needed the 42, got to about the 41 and a half. Schnell, 4 receptions, now 91 yards on the day.
But you brought up Colby earlier on this drive. That last play for the first down, that's something Jake Colby just couldn't do. And in the 2 previous years he played against NDSU, they beat the bejesus out of that kid. And Davis has taken some hits and he's gotten sacked, but he also can move and get first downs with his feet.
Davis back across the other side of the field to Petkovic. Gained 6 more to the 31.
This year,
team All Valley preseason.
The Redbirds just have not used their tight ends a lot so far this year. Coach Klanderman, when I was talking with him, he says, I don't know why, but they just don't throw to him much. Petkovic, he's one of the better tight ends in the conference too, I think.
Certainly is. 23 receptions a year ago. 3 receptions today, just 8 on the season. Davis rolling out again. Throwing on the run, and that one is intercepted. There is a flag back at the 20. Marquise Bridges with the INT for the moment.
That's not going to hold. I think it's pass interference or a defensive hold against number 42. And he was guarding Petkovic.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense number 42. 10 yards in the previous spot, automatic first down.
So that goes on Jabril Cox and will wipe out the interception by Bridges.
See if we can look back at, no, we won't see it behind the play. Bridges sees the ball, makes a nice adjustment on the ball. Really nice catch, but it's not going to stand.
Davis, fire across the middle for Schnell, who makes the reception. Touchdown.
That's the score the Redbirds had to have to make this thing interesting. Schnell does most of his damage inside the hashes. That's where he caught that one and got in for the touchdown. 2-score games, 6:46.
Well thrown football. Schnell's 6th touchdown of the season. Volkin on for the extra point. Knocks that through, and the Redbirds not done yet. 6:46 to go here. Trailing by 2 touchdowns.
Buying, building, or refinancing? Start with a Gate City Bank Blue Standard pre-approval and experience a better home loan. Get started today at gatecity.bank for a better way of life. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Brady Davis, 12 of 23 for 206 yards and a touchdown. James Robinson, 128 rushing yards on 20 attempts. And Illinois State actually now more total yardage than North Dakota State. 364 total yards for the Redbirds, 341 for NDSU.
You know, obviously the Redbirds with a nice scoring drive, and they finish it off with the touchdown pass, but I think you have to go back to what happened previous to them getting the ball. The Bison went, 3 and out. Offense for NDSU needs to stay on the field a little here.
Ty Brooks from his own goal line. Taken down by Devin Taylor at the 30-yard line. Good return for Brooks. Let's take a look at the Bobcats scoring recap. Illinois State marching down the field, 21 yards on the connection from Davis to Schnell. 7 plays, 59 yards, and 343.
But the Bison, who just dominated this Redbird defense in that first half, here at the tail end of the third and the beginning of the fourth, the team out there in white right now has been playing much, much better.
Shepard makes the reception up the sidelines, working off a block from Dallas Freeman. Steps out of bounds at the 34, gain of 4. Willie Edwards on that tackle.
Good, recognition there from Shepard. He saw Jason Harris, one of the linebackers, bearing down on him, so he could not make a move inside. Get whatever you can and work off the one block you have to pick up the 4 yards.
The Bison just 72 yards of total offense here in the second half. Delta formation here for NDSU on 2nd and 6. Stick's gonna keep it. Edwards makes the tackle on Stick. No gain on that play. We'll bring up 3rd and 6.
Stick's thinking, I can make the first man miss, and if I do, I'm going to work off the block from Lance Dunn. Nodak Insurance Company replay. It doesn't happen because Edwards crashes down and does not allow Stick that opportunity to bounce to the outside.
So if Illinois State can hold here and get the ball back with about 5 minutes left, all 3 timeouts, certainly an opportunity. And around to Shepard, trying to get the corner, and Shepard, did he get out of bounds? Close to the first down. I think he's got it across the 40 to the 41, and the senior comes through.
And another senior comes through with that edge block. That's Dallas Freeman, Nodak Insurance Company replay. Watch 83, he comes into your space right there. He's making a block on Taylor, stays engaged with Taylor enough where he can't release, square up to the runner coming his way. Freeman and Shepard do enough to get a first down. Very important first down for NDSU, just picked up right there.
One thing North Dakota State knows how to do well is milk the clock in the 4th quarter. Dunn hesitates and then bursts through a hole. Picks up 3. Edwards on another tackle. Boy, number 20 has been busy today.
And this right here, and I know you've seen it before, but that's the play clock in your upper left, and that's what Brian's talking about. When that last play was snapped, it was down to 2. So Stick in the offense will try to get it inside of 5 seconds before snap. That's milking the clock. That's trying to take as much off as you can. Inside, that's what Stick is looking at. You'll be able to see him kind of glance up every once in a while. How much is on that play clock? There, he took a quick look at it.
Up the middle to Adam Cofield, his first carry of the day, and the Redbirds again are there. All sorts of bodies in the middle, including John Ridgway, redshirt freshman. He's a big man, 6'6", 325. A lot of upside for that youngster. Will bring up third and about 5 yards.
Yeah, he's a player that the Redbirds really like. Also, Romeo McKnight with number 8, who's just off to his left, was in on that play. We talked earlier about how McKnight was a transfer from Iowa, and the Bison actually got a call from McKnight's high school head coach asking if they would be interested, they meaning NDSU here, but look at the stable of defensive ends that the Bison had. They said, we'd love to have him, but no place to play.
Third down, give goes outside. And coming up about a yard short of a first down is Cofield. As Dexavier Kelly Martin makes the stop. And Brock Spack will call his first time out with 3:20 to go. This copyrighted broadcast is property of North Dakota State University. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or distribution without the consent of NDSU is strictly prohibited.
What makes that a good timeout by Coach Spack is with that play clock starting at 40 as soon as the last play would have ended. So this thing, it's holding at 3:25, so you take another 35 seconds off of that. You save your offense a couple of plays.
Go back to that first down NDSU was able to get on that end around from Shepard. So important. That took 2 more minutes off the clock. And again, certainly things would have to go right for Illinois State to come back, but you never know. Football's a funny game that way, LT. We've seen a number of weird things happen in this building over the years. Schnell back deep. See if the Redbirds come after this punt.
No reason not to.
Kennelly snaps it right to Wegner.
They played return.
Trying to keep it in bounds. And I think it was kept in bounds, wasn't it? Was that Kennelly, the long snapper, that got in there to bat that thing back? But they're going to say touchback.
Now, the college rule is different than the NFL rule.
Results in a touchback.
When the ball breaks the plane in college, it's over. The play is over. No matter where he jumps from. Because in the NFL, you can jump from the 1, throw it back over your shoulder as long as the ball doesn't touch the end zone. But in college, as soon as it breaks the plane, now if Ross was in the NFL, that'd be a great play. In college, it's a touchback. Still a great play.
Boy,
it just
great
doesn't
effort.
count. Yep.
Long snapper hustling down there. Again, this is a guy that came in as a linebacker, really didn't do a ton of long snapping, but the Bison needed it. Illinois State, first and 10 from the 20. Davis to the air again. And that one is intercepted by Jalen Allison.
Poor throw. Kodak Insurance Company replay. Davis is going to fire what appeared to be an out, and his receiver is running it up.
Second interception of the season for Allison, 8th of his career. And any hope that Illinois State had of trying to come back in this one has just been dashed by number 21, Green.
And today's game was a big one for Illinois State too, because the Redbirds, obviously with a 5-1 record and only 1 loss in the conference, has had designs on winning the conference, but you can't do it unless you win today's game. And they're running into a gauntlet. They have to play South Dakota State and UNI next.
And Illinois State started last season 6-2 and then lost its final 3 games and missed the playoffs. Boy, Ty Brooks in the pile continuing to move, and it's still moving. Brooks had about 15 yards from first contact and is down inside the 15 to the 13.
I thought that play was over for about 10 yards before it actually ended. Brooks with both hands around the ball. He knows they're digging. I mean, the Redbirds want the ball back more than they really want to get Brooks to the ground. Gotta love the way he's covering both points of that thing. That was a good job by Ty Brooks.
Luke Bacon and Dylan Radin's kind of helping him along. Stick snaps it with 1 on the play clock. Brooks again. Stacked up at about the 13-yard line. Second timeout called for Brock Spack. Willie Edwards, 11 tackles today. A game high.
Timeout. Illinois State. That's their second timeout and a half. 30-second timeout.
You know, other than last year, obviously, which didn't go well, and you just talked about it, how for Illinois State it ended poorly. But, you know, this is a series that the Bison now are going to win 9 of the 11 games played. So they're dominating it. And 7 straight plays, or excuse me, 7 straight wins in a row. Whether you're buying, building, or refinancing, Gate City Bank home loans are locally approved, financed, and serviced. Gate City Bank, for a better way of life. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Stick's going to keep it. He's close to a first down. Needed to get to the 8, and that's where they're marking him.
Just a hair short, though. I think probably. I think he's a length of a football short.
One more first down, and that should do it. Matthews, boy, he's been a busy guy too. Nodak Insurance Company replay.
Stick has kept a lot of these today. That one was not much of a read. There's a bunch of earlier reads. That looked like he was going to keep it all the way.
Well, you talked about Matthews. A big reason why this guy's had to play such a prominent role. Tyree Horton left the team last year. He was the outside backer, and this guy stepped in. Dunn threw a hole down to the 5, first down. With a minute and a half to go, and NDSU can take a couple of knees and run out the clock and walk out of the Fargo Dome 7-0, 4-0 in the Valley, with a road trip to South Dakota next week. Dunn kind of thinking he should have had a touchdown there. Spack will call his final timeout.
30-second timeout.
It was a dominant performance in the first half of today's contest. The Bison set themselves apart from the Redbirds early. And despite a couple of nice drives by ISU here in the second half, they made some mistakes they couldn't overcome. And you have a chance there at the end, you throw a pick. It's not to say that Illinois State has played poorly today. They just haven't played well enough at the right time.
Well, you got to be impressed with North Dakota State winning back-to-back road games in the Valley. So tough to do. Northern Iowa, Western Illinois. It's the 4th straight year that NDSU has won back-to-back games in the Valley. Stick will take a knee. Bruce Anderson, hopefully he gets healthy to play next Saturday in Vermillion.
Now that'll be a 2 o'clock kick next week at the Dakota Dome.
1 o'clock pregame. Statewide on the KVOI, KFYR television network.
Coyotes have a big game. Important game for them this week as well.
It's kind of one of those games that if you lose
it's a swing game for each team.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much it for Youngstown, too, if they can't come out with a victory. Stick might have to take one more
snap
here.
will be needed, yeah.
Now, North Dakota State, one thing the Bison did do well, convert on third down, 10 of 15 today. Illinois State 4 of 12, and maybe that's where you'd have to say the game was probably won and lost. Easier, more manageable third down opportunities for the Bison. Illinois State behind the chains a lot in the first 3 quarters. Never gave up, showed some fight, certainly at the end of the third and into the fourth. But the Bison hold on for a 14-point victory here at home against the Redbirds.
I just think physically, the way the Bison offense came out and established a physical presence over that Redbird defense in that first half, certainly, in my mind anyway, made the difference and made the difference early.
One game to keep an eye on, Northern Iowa, South Dakota State at 7-3 right now, UNI at the half. Ryan Gellner is walking towards the camera on the field with head coach Chris Klein.
Yeah, guys, Chris, you really came out and imposed your will a little bit, and then were able to hold on at the end.
Yeah, I thought we played a dynamite first half. We were a little maybe stale the second half, but that's a dang good football team. There are no bad wins in the Missouri Valley. We'll take it.
I want to ask you about something that's not going to show up in the paper, things like that, but Ross Kenley's effort towards the end, and then Ty Brooks keeping his feet going towards the end. That's the grit of the Bison.
Absolutely, little things. You know, we had to try to run the clock out because they've got a good offense, and we were able to get a couple first downs there, and Easton ran the ball well late. Great team win.
It is a nice win. You're back on the road again next week. Yeah. Another week.
Another week. It just keeps going, but we're excited about the win. That's a dang good football team, and Bison found a way to get it done.
It's a good win. Congratulations, guys.
All right, thanks so much, Ryan. The Bison 7-0 remain unbeaten. 4-0 in the Valley. 2 home games remaining, 2 road games remaining. Should be a fun finish at the end of October and into November. We'll be back to wrap things up and have our post-game show, get our No-Deck Insurance Company a player of the game, and look at your stats after this. Back here at the Fargo Dome, North Dakota State 28-14 victors over Illinois State to remain undefeated at 7-0 and 4-0 in the Missouri Valley Conference. Brian Shaw and Lee Timmerman back with you from here in Fargo and LT. NDSU maybe not as crisp in the second half as the Bison would have liked, but as Chris Kleiman mentioned, you take a win no matter how you can get it in this league.
Yeah, but when you have a 28-point lead, that's kind of the way they played for a while. Yeah, but at the end, picking up, like, I think when you mentioned it too, with about 6 minutes or so to go, that one extra first down that the Bison needed that they did not get on the previous possession made a big difference. You take an extra 3 minutes off, and then at that point, after Davis throws the pick, the game is over.
And really the big interception early by Robbie Grimsley in the red zone to keep Illinois State off the board. The Bison had the 21-point lead at halftime and went on to take care of business here at home. Let's take a look at some of our final stats brought to you by the North Dakota Certified Seed Producers. And I think when you look at the stats, maybe a little deceiving, LT, because Illinois State would look like it's the team that had more success today when you look at the total numbers.
And the Bison with that couple extra first downs at the end get back up over the total yards at 385. But yeah, the passing yards end up being a lot more equal than you thought. But NDSU, again, just dominating that first half. That makes such a big difference. Easton Stick, I thought, ran the ball really well today. He had 70 yards on the ground to go along with his passing of 207. And then, of course, Darius Shepard was making big plays early and often in more than one aspect of the game, so that helped the Bison pick up that big lead before the game kind of went for a while.
And you talked about it, and coaches talk about it. Some of that hidden yardage when you get into special teams sometimes can skew things a little bit, but Darius Shepard with 2 long punt returns really set up the offense on a short field.
And in terms of just helping break the back of another team, that's one way you can do it, and do it, as you mentioned, hitting hidden yards. But when you're giving up big yards in the special teams, your defense is already on its heels before it even gets back out there, and that's where NDSU really took advantage and to help build what you saw on those stat numbers.
Those stats brought to you by the North Dakota Certified Seed Producers. We'll step aside and be back with more here at the Fargo Dome at Gate City Bank Field. North Dakota State 28-14 over Illinois State. Back with some of your offensive highlights after this. Brian Shaw and Lee Timmerman back here at the Fargo Dome, wrapping things up as North Dakota State stays unbeaten at 7-0. And the Bison offense really clicking early. Some big explosive plays in the passing game, LT. And Easton Stick 188 yards of his 207 passing yards came in the first half.
And here's 55 of them on that one pass play down to Shepard. And the Bison, I think, did a good job isolating against the safety today. And that was a Zach Johnson beautiful block on a touchdown. And here's some of those hidden yards from Shep.
Yeah, Darius Shepard, a couple of big punt returns. Was able to get away from the punter on that one and set up the Bison inside Redbird territory. And Easton Stick, 10 carries, 70 yards today. The quarterback run game always so important for NDSU. It certainly was today.
Another great block. Dylan Radens on the outside. He moved a guy about 8 or 10 yards on that touchdown from Freeman. And it's good to see the tight ends get in and on the act today.
Yeah, Ben Ellefson, a long reception. Nate Jensen also had a catch. And then Freeman, a big third down reception here as they kind of went after Devin Taylor a little bit. There's the reception from Jensen.
Then Bison go back to the running game and get into the end zone again. And here's Shepard's second punt return. That's right, 103 yards, and he only ran 2 of them.
So able to squeak through a hole and use that speed. Was caught from behind and pushed out of bounds at the 15. But again, that led to more points as Dunn easily scored his 3rd of the day. Just 61 rushing yards for Lance Dunn, but the Bison, I think, able to generate enough. Ty Brooks some carries. We saw certainly what Easton Stick could do. So a lot of different guys, I think, in the running game today.
And I thought once the Bison got within that that smelling distance of the end zone, the offensive line really did well down there inside that 10-yard line, inside the 5. You just saw the touchdowns, the holes made on the touchdowns. When it came time to get in the end zone, the Bison offensive line just blew the Redbirds away.
And the one thing we have talked about, LT, throughout the first part of this season, certainly into the conference season, is that the NDSU passing game is continuing to take shots down the field when they get the one-on-one coverage. And we saw today it paid dividends, especially early.
Yeah, in talking with the coaches, they thought the way that Illinois State played coming into this game, that there would be some things more under, some dig routes, some short crossing routes. But Stick and the receivers saw early on that they can get isolations on the safety deep. You take those shots every chance you can.
And the Bison did, converted them, and that's why NDSU had the 21-point halftime lead. We'll be back with some of your defensive highlights, a look around the Missouri Valley, and have our Nodak Insurance Company player of the game. That's after this. Back to wrap things up here at the Fargo Dome as North Dakota State enjoys its spoils a little bit. A 28-14 victory to move to 7-0 on the season. Brian Shaw, Lee Timmerman back with you. Defensively, NDSU made life difficult on the Redbirds throughout most of the day. Illinois State certainly an opportunity in that first half until a red zone turnover, but the Bison really put pressure on Brady Davis. They did a pretty good job against the run as well.
Yeah, they're making Davis scramble, and then he just throws it up there. Robbie Grimsley comes up with that interception. He also led the Bison in tackles today, but that first interception was really something that broke the backs, I think, of the Redbirds in that first half, and the Bison in that first half kept really pounding, kept getting some good hits as well, and kept this guy, for the first half anyway, wrapped up. The Bison goal, trying to keep Illinois State down to 150 yards or less rushing. They ended up with 158, not bad, but then that pick there by Allison pretty much cements the victory defensively on that pass from Davis, which appeared to be a pretty poor pass.
Yeah, for James Robinson, you hold him to 130 yards on 20 carries, and you feel like you did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
This guy's such a tough guy to bring down, and we certainly saw that in the second half. Let's go down to Ryan Gellner with our Nodak Insurance Company player of the game.
Yeah, guys, Darius Shepard, 6 catches, 126 yards, even an end around there to mix things in. Right. D, you got things working again today?
Yeah, you know, we just had the game plan set up to try and make plays, and Easton found me a few times, and O-line did a good job hanging up and giving him time to get me the ball.
Your biggest contributions might have been on special teams. A big day in the punt return, a 69-yarder, a 34-yarder. Really got things going when the Bison needed to get things going.
Yeah, we put a big emphasis on, you know, improving our punt D team this year, and those guys are doing an outstanding job up front. It's all credit to them. They open up the holes, and it's easy to just run through them.
Darius, this is a really good football team that you guys beat today and handled pretty well today for most of this football game. What's that say about your football team?
Well, you know, we always got to get better. There's things we got to work on, but, you know, just guys being tough and staying together and just pushing through.
I thought overall, nice balance between the run game and the pass game. Really equals a nice win.
Yeah, you know, we had Bruce out this week, and guys knew we had to step up. So, you know, those backs did a great job, and we had a good job, you know, throwing the ball in the air today.
For the second time this year, guys, he is the Nodak Insurance Player of the football game. Congratulations on that. Congratulations on another win.
Thank you.
We'll toss it back upstairs to you.
All right, thanks so much, Ryan. Thank you much, Darius. And yeah, what do you say about what this guy continues to do? He's taken shots across the middle, but he's come up with so many big catches. I think back 2 weeks ago in Northern Iowa, some of the receptions he made in crunch time or big time.
I also think that Shepherd today moved up another notch in the all-time, one of the all-time categories. I think he passed R.J. Urzendowski, who obviously had a long career here as well. So Shepherd moving up in some of those all-time receiving categories.
Yeah, 54 career receptions for Darius Shepherd as we take a look at the Missouri Valley Conference scoreboard. And Indiana State hangs on for a road win at Southern Illinois. Western Illinois responds with a road victory against Missouri State. And a couple of other games of note that we're keeping an eye on, certainly. Third quarter, Northern Iowa has held South Dakota State to just 3 points at the Unidome. That's a really intriguing matchup.
The score. Who would have thought there was only 10 points scored in that game heading into the third quarter?
Yeah, two teams that have been putting up a lot of points lately. UNI 42 against South Dakota on the road last week in Vermillion. And Youngstown State an early first quarter lead against South Dakota. And, of course, the Bison will head down south to Vermillion to take on USD next Saturday. Rob Grimsley, a little bit of a hamstring issue early this week, came back, played well, was a critical part of what North Dakota State was able to do defensively today. He is also with Ryan Gellner.
Yeah, and I asked Rob about that on our way up the tunnel here. I said, who'd have thought you were hurt, man? You look pretty good out there.
Yeah, it felt good. I mean, held up pretty well. I knew I would be pretty good coming in the game. I didn't do anything too bad to it last week, so I knew I'd be good coming in, and we were just keeping track of it, monitoring it throughout the game, making sure it stayed well. But no, it held up, and our defense held up pretty good too.
Yeah, you personally flying around 8 tackles, got a sack in there, and then a pretty big interception. Take us through the interception a little bit.
I hung out backside because something didn't look right. I saw the quarterback roll it the other way, but something seemed fishy. Everyone was hanging out my way. So once I saw him come back, I figured it was some sort of throwback thing. And I think he was a little confused when he saw everything covered down. So I think he was just trying to force something in there, and I just happened to be right there.
I know you play on the back end of the defense, but that defensive line held up pretty well today against a pretty good running back and a pretty good team that can run the football.
Yeah, defensive line linebackers, I mean, they played great. I mean, we see the power, the schemes that they ran against us. We see it all fall camp, and we're ready for it. And we knew that it'd be a big game for the D-line and the linebackers. They stepped up big time this week.
Rob, it's a really big win for this football team. You continue to go towards your goals on the road next week, but getting this one today against the number 7 team in the country says a lot about your football team.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we knew there would be a good team coming in. We knew we'd get their best shot from them. And obviously, anytime you take down a top Valley team, it's a big win. And we're happy that we got this one, and we'll be celebrating it tonight.
Yeah, stay healthy, and we'll see you a week from today down in South Dakota.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, that's Rob Grimsley, guys. That Bison defense, for half the game pitched a shutout. They get a win today. Back upstairs.
All right, thanks so much, Ryan. And boy, Grimsley, how important was his role today with Michael Tutsi, his backup, out to a hamstring. The Bison really needed this guy to play a lot of snaps, and he delivered.
They did. There were some opportunities, too, where they're trying to take some snaps off of Grimsley with Jalen Winbush, and then Hendricks coming in and playing at strong safety. But a little bit later in that second half, when they needed number 5 to be out there, he was out there making plays.
Coming up for North Dakota State, a matchup in Vermillion against South Dakota. But as the schedule turns out, can you believe it? 7 games in the books, only 4 remain. South Dakota is a tough team to figure it out. Played really well in the opener against Kansas State. Has had some up performances and down performances. Turned the ball over a lot last week at home against UNI. But it's always a dangerous team down there especially.
It is, and we've seen up here, too, where throughout the course of these championship runs where USD has picked up a surprise win here. We've also seen it down there, but right now USD is trying to take care of the Penguins, and they find themselves down in that game as well. So which USD team will we see? I don't know. That's why you tune in and we get to talk about it. It's the fun part.
Well, it's a team that's playing for its playoff life here, already with 3 losses on the season. As we look at the rest of the schedule, LT, 2 home games in November, the lone road game at Missouri State, a team that lost at home today to Southern Illinois. You'd have to say that NDSU has got a lot of its heavy hitters out of the way, but that doesn't mean those other teams are any cakewalks. Youngstown State, for whatever reason, you never know what Bo Pelini's got up his sleeve, and then on the road to Missouri State's never easy either.
No, you put whatever stock you want to in ratings and in rankings, but South Dakota State was rated. UNI was rated. I don't think Western was. I don't know if Western was. I don't think they were in the top 25. And here's the Illinois State's as a top 10 team. But yeah, you open the conference. There's 3 of those 4 were nationally rated, and then after that, you sit there and you go, oh, it looks like it should be easy. And the coaches would, if you were close enough to it, would smack you upside the head because there is nothing easy about it. But the Bison do have some of the tougher teams behind them with wins.
From what we see, from our standpoint, no question about that. It's been a lot of fun. We hope you enjoyed this telecast of NDSU football all across the KVLY KFYR Bison Television Network. We hope you join us next Saturday when we pack up the truck and head to Vermillion as NDSU takes on the University of South Dakota. Have a great Saturday, everyone. For Lee Timmerman, Ryan Kellner, Alex Egan, and Beth Hool, I'm Brian Shawn saying so long from the Fargo Dome. North Dakota State is 7-0. We'll see you next Saturday in Vermillion. So long.